Hey, everybody, welcome to another special episode of Whiskey Sour Libations and Conversations. I'm your host, Dominique. This week, we have a first timer, and I met her through one of my amazing peoples. And sometimes you meet great people through other people, and we love that. Love when
Mhm.
that happens, and we've been rocking ever since. Everybody, please welcome to the show, Miss Sunshine Wiley.
Hey,
Bum, bum,
hey.
bum, bum.
Thank you so much for having me on.
Yes, thank you for coming on. And I wanted to say first off, I appreciate you so much because the other day when I was like, girl, I'm okay. You're like, okay. what's going on?
Right.
And we also have to realize it's okay to just be okay,
Mhm.
but you were really, showing up and like, okay, let's talk about it. And we
Mhm.
need friends like that.
Absolutely.
I am on this journey and we're all on this journey of life, and life be lifing.
Heck yeah.
Life be lifing. And I was kind of saying, we both were talking about how we kind of had the winter blues. This daylight savings time was really heavy for a lot of us with the time change and how early it was getting dark and
Mhm.
how late it was getting bright in the morning.
Mhm.
And it's crazy because literally my mom just an hour ago was like, there was something different about winter this year. She's like, I felt like we only had a few hours of daylight. I don't know how people live in places like Alaska. I
Right.
was like, oh my God, me and Sunshine were just talking about this.
Hmm. Yeah.
And go ahead.
So for me, you already know, I think we kind of established this the first day we met. When we met, I was just like, okay, this girl's dope as hell because like there's like an instant connection, but then there's authenticity that you don't find in a lot of people in LA. So kudos to you on that because like it's not a whole lot of realness here. People pretend like they're real, but it's not a whole lot of realness here. So thank you for that. But for me, like if I am going to make an effort to actually befriend somebody, then I'm going to treat them the way that I would like to be treated as a friend. And
Mm,
so I'm not the person who's like, I'm going to hold everything back to wait and see if you're going to be a good friend. If I can sow good friendship and good positive energy into other people, then I already know that whether or not it comes from that person is coming back to me, period.
I love
So
that.
I'm super excited to continue to be connected with more and more women who reciprocate that to me, which you do.
Oh, oh, you gonna make me cry.
Girl, well, I've been known to jerk a few tears from people.
Girl, it is really hard to find that authenticity out here. I'm gonna be completely honest. LA has been such an emotional roller coaster because I've learned so much about myself. I'm from the Midwest.
Mhm.
And so it's either you like people, you don't. It's really no in between kind of.
Yeah.
And out here it's like sometimes it's that gray area. And I want to be clear because I don't want people to come for me or anything. I'm not saying that it is LA natives because y'all get real crazy about that. We
Well, I
notice a
am
lot
an
of the
LA native, and I
yeah, I'm
can
like,
speak to
but
the
you
fact, right?
but it's so many transplants here
Yeah,
that
absolutely,
it gets lost, right? And so when I
absolutely.
tell people when people say certain things, I'm like, I was like, well, that uh, is unfortunately that's unfortunate that that's happening to you.
Hmm.
But my neighbors that I know, we good. Like it's just we always hit it off.
Hmm.
It's like you said, it's something there where you're like, I really like this person.
Right,
Let's see, like let's see if we can become like friends.
right.
And it gets tough. Like I've had so many friends and they were my friends from back home
Hmm.
um go home or go somewhere else because it is LA in general is just dog eat dog. And if you don't have a sense of self, self and self-worth values, a strong foundation, whatever that looks like, it's gonna eat you up alive,
Yeah.
spit you
And
out, and gonna eat you again. And then it might
unfortunately,
do it a few more times and spit you
yeah.
out.
But you know
Yeah.
what? Unfortunately, that's the nature of the beast, especially when you're dealing with creative spaces. If
Yeah.
your creative space is music, or if your creative space is acting, or if it's art, or if it's whatever, if you're writing,
Mm-hmm.
that's the nature of creative spaces, because there is a scarcity mentality that we've talked about before, where a lot
Yeah.
of people feel like um, because I am doing well in this, I don't want you to also do well because it takes an opportunity for me. And that's not necessarily the case. And so I think that once we actually realize that this world is vast and it's huge and it's so much to go around, like it's a
Mm-hmm.
lot of ideas and a lot of ways that people can all win.
Yes.
So,
So many ideas that we don't need a reboot, a
right.
reimagined version of The Wizard of Oz by Kenya Barris. That's all I'm gonna say. And I'm gonna stop being mean because people felt like I was coming for him. I say, no, no, no. I'm just tired of the same story over and over again. I'm like, there are so many scripts that come through Hollywood. How are we still here?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you know what? I feel like a lot of people are trying to manufacture formulas, because once we have
Mm,
the formula for music, every song is starting to follow the same formula because it worked for a few people. And they're like, well, if that formula works for them, then it'll work for me. And I'm just going to keep trying
mm-hmm,
it every time. And the
mm-hmm.
same thing when it comes to like being an influencer or being
Yeah,
whatever you are. People are always trying to find the formula. And what people are seeing is that reboots are winning right now, or they
yeah,
seemingly are winning. But what they don't realize is the ones that are winning are the ones that actually mean something, and not
yeah,
just random reboots. Because it
yeah,
was a lot of them, like Disney did a whole bunch of reimagined live action reboots of the movies that they were making. Some of them were awesome, some of them were trash.
yeah. No, it's for sure. I think it's that nostalgia connection for some people.
Mhm.
When it comes to those things, like I was watching randomly on Facebook, you know how you swipe on different like store reels or things that
Yeah.
similar to Instagram or whatever, same thing.
Mhm.
Um and it's been a lot of old like full house clips. And I was like, I remember how I felt as a kid
Yeah.
watching Full House,
Yeah.
just being funny. Michelle, really Stephanie. Stephanie was really the middle sister.
They slept on her.
They slept on
She had
Stephanie.
all the one liners. She had all the one liners. She was coming at everybody head. Nobody was exempt. From the
Yep,
daddy to the dog, nobody was exempt.
nobody. And I was like, okay, you know what? I can understand why this was a reboot. It
Mhm.
makes sense. I really couldn't get into the reboot, but I
Mhm.
could see how that this was, like a thing.
Right.
But some of the reboots are things that we don't ask for. And that's why I get frustrated. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so I'm like, were we really rocking with this in real time?
Mhm.
Give me a living single reboot. Give me
I can see
a
that.
yeah, a Living Single reboot would be so much fun
I can see
because
that.
it
Yeah.
never got its just due how it was supposed to. And
Mhm.
I think this would be like the perfect timing and with everybody being aged up and so much life has happened.
Right.
I think it would be perfect, but we gonna see what happens.
But Kyle looks 90 now, so I don't even know how he would really fit. Dude look old, old, old now. And I shouldn't say that because maybe he'll see it, but I'm small potato, so my opinion really doesn't matter to him. But he looks a lot older than everybody else now. Like
Kyle Living Single. I'm like, I know his name is TC
TC
something.
Is it Carson? No, that's the comedian.
No, I
TC.
think you're right. TC Carr.
Okay.
Nope. Um,
Okay.
wow. I'm like, I know it's Carson.
Okay.
Well, yeah, I mean but here's the thing, it's just that he gray.
So you
This
think they
picture that I'm
dyed it?
looking at, the pictures that I'm looking at are very current.
Mm-hmm.
but I feel that he he just, got salt and pepper, but more salt. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
He
because he's
was.
been out performing and singing.
Yeah. And that's
Um,
always interesting.
and him and Max could be together. They have a kid because you remember they appeared on Half and Half or
Yeah.
something, and
Yeah.
they had a family, they had a
Mm-hmm.
daughter.
The
So
little
now
daughter.
we can
Yeah.
get the daughter that she would be like our age,
Mm-hmm.
or close to it,
Mm-hmm.
and maybe she has a kid
Yeah.
and their grandparents. So there's so many things that could happen. I would love to see where Regine is right now.
Now
Did she
that one
ever
I
get
would
her
love to
sugar?
know.
Yeah.
Is she on her Blanche
Did you ever
Devereaux
marry
now?
wealthy? Yeah.
Is she doing her Blanche Devereaux now? Is she? What is she doing? Is she
Yeah. What
showing
did
us?
she?
Is she living the epitome of the soft life that everybody's talking about, or what?
Oh, see, we got it. Call us. Call us. We got the show. We got the script. And then, with Sinclair and Overton, are they still together?
Oh yeah,
You you know,
they're the annoying old couple that it gets a little embarrassing with how affectionate that they are.
yeah. And then with Khadijah, what
Mhm.
happens with Khadijah?
She came out the
The-
closet.
we can explore that chapter because part of that, yes, real life, or do we keep her straight? Well, or how do we do? What do we do? Do we lean into who she is in real life now,
Mhm.
or is it just like, okay, my life? Though there are scenes that are kind of similar, they separate.
Mhm. Or did that guy that she was in love with for like 6 seasons finally come back and do the right thing by her?
Scooter.
Yeah, Scooter.
Those are questions that need answer. And Scooter still look really good, by the
Yes, he
way.
does. Yes, he does.
He's
I was
aging
looking
well.
at everybody. Everybody pretty much looks good right now. The only one that was kind of, and I'm not trying to be shady. I think I was being a little shady a moment ago. But the only
You
one
do,
who
but it's
does
okay.
look a little, the one who looks a little older is Kyle. But I feel like with a little makeup, they can fix that up.
Yeah, he'll be all right.
Mhm.
I just I don't know, like Max. Okay, so are you still practicing? Like we have so many questions that need
Yeah,
answers, and
yeah.
I feel like it's time. And did you by chance get a chance to go see American Fiction?
No.
Okay, everybody, stop what y'all doing and go see American Fiction. It
Okay.
is now, they opened it in a few more theaters because it's been getting, well, clearly there are Oscar nominations. Sterling Brown has one, and oh my God, what's the lead? Uh,
Jeremiah Wright or James? Is that what his name is?
I think you're close. It's
Okay.
right though. Yep, you're right. Nope. His name is no. Cord Jefferson is the uh
Jeffrey Wright.
Jeffrey Wright. I was like, that is his last name, though. I was like, but what is
I
it?
don't know nobody
And
name. That's sad.
listen, we're getting up there. That's why I'm like, I gotta make sure I take my ginkgo today and my ashwagandha because okay. Um.
That's what going to be doing the stuff that the people say you do. Like it be making you a little frisky and stuff like that.
Oh, I see. I didn't know that. I know that it kind of helps with balance and
Okay.
brain stuff similar
Okay.
to the ginkgo.
That's
But
helpful.
n- I was gonna say something funny, but I'm always kind of frisky. I bought these vitamins that's for your libido, like at Target, because I heard really great things about it.
Okay.
And I was like, I can't tell because I feel like I'm always frisky.
Okay.
But but Max is in it, American Fiction, and Erica Alexander. I know her name.
Okay.
Erica Alexander is in it, and she
Yes.
plays the lead's partner, girlfriend.
Okay.
And it's funny. This is the only thing I'll tell y'all.
Okay.
She's an attorney in there.
Oh,
So
nice.
I was like, oh, nostalgia.
All right. She gets to be a lawyer again.
Yeah, she gets to be a lawyer again. So I think we're due for that. That's what we want. No more mixed ish, any ish. Give us something fresh.
You didn't like Blackish?
I didn't get into Blackish like that.
Oh, I actually enjoyed Blackish. Well, actually, Blackish was cool because I liked the dynamic between Anthony Anderson and Tracy Ellis Ross. I like their
Yeah.
dynamic. And then, of course, the girl who played Diane, she was
Oh
hilarious.
yeah, Marseille.
The older son and daughter, like they were cool, but they didn't really make the show for me.
Yeah.
Um,
See, okay, so which leads me to Grownish,
okay,
because Grownish, I liked all the characters around the lead
yes,
daughter.
hmm
The side characters were way more interesting than she was.
absolutely.
But
Especially
also, don't
Chloe and
forget,
Hallie.
girl. Now
Chloe,
they,
Hallie, and Diggy Simmons, those
mhm.
characters were masterpieces.
I'm to be honest, I'm surprised, but and I guess it makes sense because they were all the same age, but they could have aged them differently. And also, I would have been here for a spin off with the twins like
Yeah.
Chloe and Hallie,
hmm
and then like some of the other characters, because
hmm
or even if they left them on there an additional season, I
Right,
think that would have been fun
right,
because now that they had the son in the role, it was cool, and they introduced new characters, which was fun, but I was just like, it's not the same flair. Chloe
right.
and Halle carried that.
Yeah, definitely. They,
Yeah.
I think with him, they were trying to be more with the times where it's talking about like inclusion and talking about mental health practices and things like that, because he had like the whole situation where he was like dealing with anxiety, and they were
Mm-hmm.
like kind of walking through how that feels. While that's good, this isn't that show. And
Mm-hmm.
it's important to have those things talked about, but you got to add an element of comedy in there because it made it entirely too serious. And literally, this show is like kind of like on Living Single when they had serious moments. Those serious moments like kind of came at the end with a punchline from Max saying something crazy, you
Yes.
know? And
No, for sure. It
you
felt
know,
like it was forced. It
right,
felt forced. It did not
right,
feel authentic.
right.
For sure. For sure. It's so funny because I actually brought you here to talk a little bit about, like mental health
Okay.
and some of the things that we have seen in the recent, oh my god, what is today? What would today be? Day 48 of the craziness that is on the internet right now. And it
Okay.
involves somebody. I don't want to keep saying, listen, because I'm afraid that it's going to appear on my timeline like Candyman. You say Candyman's name 3 times back to back, and I don't
I
want to
thought
keep
it was
saying this.
5.
Is Candyman 5? Girl, Candyman is 3 times.
Oh,
Bloody Mary is 3 times. Who
uh,
else?
I don't know.
It's somebody else named it. Yeah. It's like, I thought it was 5. I'm like, I thought it was 3. No
I
wonder. If
hear
it's
you.
5, no wonder why he never appeared.
Whoop.
Girl, we're not gonna sit up here. Listen, whether it have been Tony Todd or Yahya Abdul Mateen II, somebody needs to appear in my mirror. One of them.
Yeah.
Fine.
Abdul Mateen, I probably would prefer. That man is,
Don't let
he
me
is,
cross his path.
God did a good job.
He knew what he was doing.
God did a good job. That's all I'll say.
Yeah.
He did a
I
wonderful
just
job.
I literally I when I tell you, if I'm ever in the same room,
hmm
the intense eye contact, I'm not punking out. Now I'm just gonna give the eye contact, and then maybe a wink and a smile, and
So
then
you're
kind of
not gonna
smile.
like fake rub up against him. Oh, I'm sorry. Excuse me. I didn't mean
Mm-mm,
to.
no,
Oh.
I might even walk up and say hello.
Oh, walk up.
Listen, listen. I'm in this era of, yes, I might have a boo, but I can flirt. I'm a huge. I love flirting. I love being a tease. People think I'm a terrible person because of it, but it is what it is. I
So
love
does
it.
it work? Like I'm like a nervous wreck. Like I don't flirt. Like I am one of those women who are like, I need you to approach me because I'm not coming after you. I'm not initiating this stuff because and I guess that's the difference. I think we were talking about it between men from other places and men from LA. These men in
Okay.
LA think that they are um,
The prize.
the prize. I guess that's for lack of a better word. They are the prize, and they think that we're supposed to come up to them and be like, "What's up, baby boy? How you doing? You so fun." I can't do that. Like that's not in me. It feels weird as hell.
I'm going to okay. I definitely agree with you. Like I think I still love old school practices like that, but also w- when the men that come up, they're never. It's always somebody like Brian Pumper, and it's never the Yayas. It's never the Michael B. Jordans. It's always somebody low bottom tier. I know that sounds mean. For me,
Mhm.
for me, I wouldn't somebody that's like 5'4". I'm 5'9". What's happening here? No.
Those are the ones that have the confidence to approach. Either the ones that are 5'2", the ones that are 98 years old, the ones that are like three times as big as they should be. I don't get it.
Okay, wait. Okay, when you say they 98 years old, okay, are they wealthy at 98 years old? Or are
Ha!
they these are questions that need answers. Because I like me an older guy. I love me a little old man.
There's a limit. There is a limit to how
What's the
old.
limit?
For me,
Yeah.
um, my mind is gonna make me miss it on anybody who's older than like maybe 46, 45. For me specifically.
Okay, so you don't date. You're okay. So
I
you
can't do a
that's
20
the
year
cutoff.
old.
That's the
I can't
cutoff.
do a 20-year age gap because that
Oh,
screams pedophilia
really?
to me. I can't.
Love it. Love it.
Yeah, for me, like I'm not gonna treat anybody differently because that's what they choose. But as for this person right here, I can't do it.
Yeah. No. I have an ex that just turned 60.
Okay.
And I didn't know though because black don't
I was about to say some of these men out here.
they don't look it. And so I didn't know. And so when by the time it really even crossed my mind to even ask, I was like
You're
immersed
invested.
in it. Yeah, I
Yeah.
was like immersed in the situation. I was like, oh God, dang, like you were born when my dad was 10, like or turning 11. That's crazy. And I just the
Yeah.
only time that I was dating this white guy and he's when
How
I
was
fa-
that?
okay, I'll get to that.
Okay.
So then when it happened, like we were we were out of town when I finally decided to ask him his age because they a lot of them spoil quickly. They age like milk. So somebody could be maybe 50 and they might look 65. So you don't know. Like those are things like that kind of happen.
Mhm.
So I on this trip I said, well, like I was telling him we were planning my dad's was it like his 60th birthday? I think it was his 60th birthday. He was like, "Oh, your dad's not too much older than me." And I was like, "Oh, well, how old are you?" And then I think he was like literally like 2 years younger than my dad. And I was like, "Okay,
That's as far as I can go.
you low-key look older than my dad." So, um, I don't know. I had to keep it cute because I wasn't getting no ticket back home crying.
Right.
People get evil. They get mad. Because
Yes.
he was already mad that I told him that I was celibate on the trip.
And that's the thing. I need to be able to wanna draw from the well of life that you possess, sir. And if I feel like your well of life is gonna be a little on the shriveled side, that's not gonna work.
Sit on the trouble side.
I can't do it. Like I already have a little issue with. It's yeah. I just needed to be, where I need the thing to be thinking. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I never. Okay, so I just I won't be sending this episode to my mom. So, because I was like, oh my gosh, like I could send her the Sunshine episode because of what we're going to be talking about. It's fine. Scrap that topic. Here we are.
Okay.
We could talk about dating relationships, the ins and outs of it. Okay, so yes. So I've never had an issue with the men, the older men in that area.
Okay.
Now, this guy, now I never, and being completely honest, never had sex with him.
Hmm.
He said something on this flight that completely turned me off. And I so my response to it was, see, that's why I'm celibate. And I, you
Men
know what?
don't even realize that the shit that come out of their mouth make a miss more pussy than anything else.
I always say that. I think men talk themselves out of pussy all the time. And do I think women can do it? Yes. But a lot of times, men, it's easy for men to disconnect, say, well, you know what? I'm just horny and this is just going to be a one time. I'm ghosting her after that. I'm blocking her and that's it. But men talk themselves out of pussy all the time. And so, you know what? I'll tell you. I'll tell y'all. I don't think I've ever told this story on here.
Ooh.
I met this guy, and for the women that are listening, um, if you want to know where to meet men, um, you have to go outside your comfort zone and kind of do things sometimes that might require you to spend a little money or whatever. I was at a basketball game,
Mhm.
and we were sitting pretty close, and this guy, the guy was just like, I was cheering for the opposite team, and he was just like, if you stop cheering for them, I'll take you to a game. I'm a season ticket holder, so we can go to a game together. So I was like, this sounds like a setup. So let's see. I'll play your game with you. We exchanged contact after the game. We went to a game together. He took me to dinner before. We were kikiing it up. He is in development, real estate, all this stuff, has like a great nonprofit, though I don't necessarily care for others uh having nonprofits in at-risk neighborhoods because sometimes I want to make sure you're not taking advantage of our people.
Yeah.
So my mind works like does weird things like that. But anyway, that's neither here nor there.
Mhm.
Go to the game, have an amazing time. We hang out again, and then we hang out again. And I just so happened to be in St. Louis, and he hit me up. He was like, "Hey, what do you think about what are you doing this weekend?" I was like, "Oh, just working." He said, "Do you want to go to a playoff game in Oklahoma? Like they're playing the Spurs, and it's a really good series." I was like, "Okay, I'll do that." So I did, and on the plane ride over, I like to ask, especially if I'm dating interracially, I like to ask, "Have you ever dated a black woman before?" And he said yes. So, oh, okay, cool, great, great, great.
Right.
'Cause,
Cool.
you listen. While I like being the first rodeo, uh, I'm a rodeo that is a full on experience, and it don't get better than this.
Period.
Everything after me is mediocre, and I'm standing tall in that. Y'all always come back for more because you know what it is. So he mentions that yes, he dated a black girl before, and she was really pretty. She was exotic, and the word exotic just stuck out to me for some reason.
Fetish.
So that's why I was like, first my mind went there.
Hmm.
But no, I was like, this not giving that. This
Okay.
not giving that. I'm not 110% sure.
Okay.
And then I was like, well, maybe she was mixed. And then I was like, no. I was like, oh, could I see it? Is she Googleable or whatever? And I can't remember her name because I know I was seeing you the picture.
Right.
And so, because he said like at one point she modeled or whatever. So I was like,
Mm-hmm.
oh, you should be Googleable.
Mm-hmm.
So I see her. I was like, this is just a regular black girl. Like, no, not saying that we be regular, but like, she's just a regular black
I
girl.
know
With
what
like
you
a
mean.
yeah, like
Like an everyday person.
yeah. So I
Yeah.
was like, okay. He keeps saying exotic. I said, okay. I was like, I'm not trying to be in your business.
What
And
was
how
it?
he like described her, like by all this stuff. I said, was she a, a stripper? So he says yes.
Okay, that
And
makes sense.
I was like, okay, exactly. That's what that is. That's what
Hmm.
that is. I
Yeah.
said, so let me ask you this. In LA, I know that they have rules about the strip club. So were you sober at a full frontal, or was this like a titty bar,
Hmm.
where they could serve alcohol? He was like, oh, she was fully, naked or whatever. I said, oh, so you mean, oh, you were sober. Okay, so you knew what you was doing. Okay. So I said, oh, okay. He's okay, sober. You could potentially make bad decisions. Okay. Right here. So then she he mentioned that the girl at one point was like, her and her boyfriend were like swingers.
Okay.
And so I said, oh wow, that's cool. Cool. And um she came up pregnant. So I was like, okay, so you said she a swinger. And I said, but you knew that. uh, Did you have unprotected sex with her?
Good question.
Yeah. So he said, well, yeah. I said, I know where you live. It's a 7-Eleven across the street. My homegirl live in that building. I said, okay. Okay, you make uh rash decisions when you horny. Okay, cool. Number two. So they did a DNA test while she was still pregnant, which was like really expensive.
Yeah.
So it was like
Thank
between
you.
her boyfriend, and like it was like a third guy. The third guy never responded. He ended up being the person that came back that it was his kid. So he said, I would he's like, so I told us like, like I'm not trying to I'm not looking to have a baby,
Right.
like a baby with you or whatever. Like what does this conversation entail? Because I would prefer if you got an abortion, I would take care of it. I'll, I know you have to rest. So I even got your bills and all this stuff. Like I can throw you a stack or two because I know you're gonna be out of work, blah, 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 blah. So, the girl was, rightfully so upset.
Right.
You probably also thought you got a bag. Like, okay, think jackpot. So I said, okay, cool. And I'm gonna wrap it up. So then she ultimately gets the abortion or whatever. And I was like, dang, like that was like almost 4 months. I said the baby had fingernails. And he was like, yeah, he said something like, if it was you, I will let you have my child. And I was like, huh.
So what's the difference, kind sir, from
Yeah,
me?
so and that's what I said. So because you know what's happening here, because I knew what was happening here. And I say,
You wanted a
see,
mixed baby.
yeah, and I don't even think it's that. I think what he was trying to do was trying to make me one up her. And
Ah,
was trying to say because of my appearance, what I was doing and have going on, that this would be more presentable, more acceptable
okay.
if when I have to tell people
Hmm.
that I have a child on the way. You know what I
Gotcha.
mean? So
Yeah.
I said, see, man, that's why I'm celibate. He said, darling, I think you're telling me you're a virgin. I said, no, I ain't say that.
It's a different word.
I was
Those
I
are
said,
two
no,
different words.
yeah, I said that's not so he was like, babe, he's like, if I would have known, I would have got a separate rooms. So I said, if you knew, I wouldn't be here on this trip. So Yeah. Girl, we ain't doing that weekend. Listen, my homegirl lived in Oklahoma. I had a homeboy that was there. I was like, okay, y'all, dropping my location. This is where I'm at. Blah 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 blah. Because
Yeah.
I told him I ain't. And then here's the thing: it's like I just was like, I really, I listen. I'm gonna tell you this: I ain't no girl that be trying to finesse niggas out of trips and not go on trips. If I go on a trip with you, I'm busting it open. That's the nicest way to say it. I don't do stuff like that because to me it's not worth my while, and I'm not gonna waste your money or your time.
Right.
You looking for a good time, so am I. We going and we fucking in another country or city or whatever. That
Right.
I'm just keeping it a buck. I don't do stuff like that because I think it's really, really mean
Right.
and selfish.
Yeah.
Um,
I
but
mean, I want to enjoy myself too. Like that's enjoyable for me too. Like I don't get this whole situation of going somewhere with somebody that I could not actually see myself wanting to touch. Like that don't make sense to me. I don't enjoy voyages and excursions with somebody, some old decrepit or just fugly looking person. Just I can't. For what? I want to enjoy this part. Like this is a part of the experience for me.
I don't get it either. And so he didn't talk to me for a little while after. And so you know what? I said, you know what? I'm gonna get reparations for my people and that girl.
Ha!
I might have like strung him along and like probably thought he probably
Mhm.
thought it was gonna happen. And we
Mhm.
hung out some years ago, maybe back in like 2018.
Mhm.
We went out and we went to a game, whatever, went to dinner before. And I finally told him what happened. And I said,
Right.
this because he was like, you was at my house and I didn't because he looks in, he's like, when are we gonna have some sex? I'm afraid that things are gonna say some sex does not sound good. And me and my sister will always crack jokes about it. But I did tell him, I said, hey, don't tell nobody else that story. It
Please.
does I said it doesn't everything don't need to be said. That is a lesson that my mom, had told me at an early age. I really believe that don't tell nobody that story. Just because it doesn't feel good, it doesn't sound good, it doesn't look good for you.
Right. I mean, and everybody who's going to be in a situation with a person, they're going to want to feel wanted. They're going
Yeah.
to want to feel like they are unique or special in some way, and that
Yeah.
uniqueness or that specialness has drawn you to that person. Like I don't want to feel like you just another chick or whatever. I could have another
Yeah.
you in 5 seconds. Like they don't do it for me. That don't make me want you
Absolutely.
because you can have 50 other people. Like that don't do it for me.
But also you just showed me a little bit of your character.
True.
What does that mean? What does that look like for me? And I get it, like it's not a linear situation. Like, how somebody might treat you, they might not treat me like that, and vice
Right.
versa. But I'm like, that no, that does not, yeah, so don't do that.
Yeah. No,
What's one of your crazy dating stories?
girl.
Okay.
So I was actually telling my brothers this. I actually recorded a podcast Friday. And I was telling one of my brothers because he was there amongst the other people who I was interviewing. And they were asking me dating questions. I don't know how the questions always turn back around on me, but somehow it did. And so they asked me, had I dated any local LA people since I've been back? And so
Okay.
I was like, well, the first and probably only LA native that I dated ended up being an ex-con and a hard banger. And I was like, oh, okay. And they were like, oh, you was just letting him go to town. And then you found that out. I was like, oh no, he didn't even make it that far. He made it to a conversation with me and talked too much. And I was like, so wait. This word that you're saying right here, what does that mean? I can't even remember what the slang was, but he was like, he was referencing something, and he was like, "Oh yeah, that comes from the time that I spent in a federal prison." I was like, "Wait, what? That come from where?" He was like, "Yeah, cause like they took my houses and stuff. Like I was selling all these drugs, and my mom was doing this, that, and the other for me, and this person did that." I'm like, "This is our second time talking." And you didn't already confess the world to me, number one. So
He
that
said
lets
you
me know
made
you
him
were
feel
not
real
good at
safe.
what you were
You
doing.
made him feel real safe.
I enjoy that and I want to make people feel safe, but I also understand that I need to also be safe. So in that moment, I was just like, okay, okay. So then I was like, you know what? I kind of took a pause back from that conversation. I was like, so am I being over the top because like people who have a criminal background aren't necessarily bad people, and maybe
Yeah.
this person is changed, and maybe because
Hmm.
we're trying to rationalize because I'm trying not to just be a super judgy person. And so
Right.
I'm,
Right.
well, I'm going back and forth with myself, kind of like chilling a little bit or whatever, because like we would text more than we would talk. So we was texting all the time. So he finally called me back like maybe a week later and was talking about how one of his other boys got sent to jail and how he was mad about how it happened because they were all together. And so I'm in the back of my mind, like, so you ain't learned shit. You haven't learned anything. You still around this type of activity. That don't work for me.
And he technically not supposed to be.
Exactly. So I'm like, you haven't learned anything. I'm gonna have to go ahead and part ways for you. I wish you best, but no, you haven't learned nobody's lesson yet. Yes.
Yeah. Okay, but how long was he in when he was inside? Like how long was he in prison in
Dude
the
was in
feds?
jail for like 7.5 years.
How did you meet? Hinge
No,
or
no. That was before I jumped on Hinge, and then I jumped right back off Hinge. But we'll talk about that in a second. But
okay,
so my niece was having a birthday party at I believe it's called Frankie's Fun Park thingy or whatever. And
okay,
it's this place where they have like a whole bunch of games and go-karts and pizza and all that kind of stuff. So I
okay,
went to bring her a gift. My daughter wasn't in town, so I just went to be the supportive auntie. And so my brothers, her mom, her little friends, all that were there. So, hey, how you doing? Blah, blah, blah. On my way out, this person is eyeballing me, just burning a hole through my skin, looking at me so hard. And so her mom was like, "Oh, he want to eat you up." I was like, I mean, that's how it happens. But so I'm just like, it's okay. But then he came over and he talked to me or whatever. And
okay,
we had a good conversation. He was like, "Do you mind if I get your number or whatever?" I was like, that's fine. I'm not in a relationship at this moment. Let's have a conversation.
okay.
So we talked for a little bit, and then all those things start to uncover. It was a it was an organic meeting. And I'm thinking organic meetings are still going to be number one because somebody has to get up the nerve to speak to somebody else and blah blah blah. And child, no,
Wow.
no.
Or that. So that's the other thing about I'm like you. I like stuff like that, but
Mhm.
then they turn out like that as well.
And I was like, I'm so glad that I have never been in a place where this person had to come pick me up from my house, or
For
I've ever
yeah,
had to provide them with my address. Like, that's the scary part. Like,
yeah,
we got to protect our safety in a way where it's like people take for granted that, like, if a man knows where you live and is pissed off enough about the fact that you don't want to be with them in that way anymore, they can literally try to come after you. I've been stalked
yeah.
before.
Wow. Okay. Okay.
Yes.
Wow.
I lived in Chicago, and I won't say too much because it's a lot of people who know who this person is. And I was just like, yeah, I'm gonna have to back out of that situation. My brothers were angry with me for not telling them who it is. My therapist was pissed. She was like, "Why haven't you pressed charges yet?" It was a whole bunch of people who were like, "What are you doing?" And it was that piece in me that still had compassion for not seeing another black man in jail, that I was just like, you know what? If I just disappear, then this will go away and he could move on with his life and I can move on with mine. Am I saying it was the right thing to do? Absolutely not. Of course, I did end up getting like a real resolve and real things to happen to make sure that that doesn't reproduce itself. But
Okay.
in the process, I was thinking that I was helping this person when I really wasn't.
That's the sucky part about women. Sometimes we have that, like you said, that compassion. And it's so scary because I get I'm with you, but
Mhm.
I'm with your I see your brother's perspective too. Cause I'm like, you my friend,
I got 6 brothers, girl.
Oh girl.
The way that I wanted to go upside this
But
man's head.
it is it's a tough position to be in, and and I'm really sorry that that happened,
Mhm.
and it it makes dating so difficult
Mhm.
because those are things that we have to think about. Men
Yeah.
don't think about dating through the eyes and the gaze of a woman,
Mhm.
you know. And I was just cracking a joke saying that men, y'all think y'all have it hard, but women, we have it harder.
Right.
And I think both each sex is gonna, fight
Mhm.
tooth and nail to say why it's harder for them. But you don't have to worry about somebody doing that. Like
So,
women do it, but
mhm.
it's in a smaller percentage, such a much
Mhm.
that we know of, right?
Yeah. So I will
But
say it like this. I think that there are sets of things that we have to face on both sides. And I'm not necessarily going to say that one is harder than the other because I don't know what it's like to be a man.
okay,
And all
yeah,
I know
that's
what it's
fair.
like to be, all I know what it's like is to be a woman. I know what it's
Yeah,
like to be in my shoes, and that's all I know. And I can speak from my perspective. I cannot speak from theirs because I've never lived that experience.
yeah,
So I try to be careful because it seems harder, but I don't really know.
yeah.
Um,
That's
and
very fair to say. That's very fair.
And I
And
think that the thing that really helps us when we are trying to continue to build our community and build the bridge between Black men and Black women is to realize that we got two very different experiences. And the best way for us to be able to get to a better place is to begin to start to try to listen and understand each person's experience. Not to
oh,
knock
for
you or anybody else, but it's just like, I know some crazy ass women. I do. um, are they my current friends? Absolutely not. Do I currently associate with them? Absolutely not.
yeah,
But unfortunately, some of these people are in my family, and I didn't have a choice but to be born into this family. And so
boundaries.
I don't got a choice. Um, let me get my little cord because this computer is trying to play like it's gonna die. But yeah, so like I didn't have a choice but to be born into the family that I'm born into. So
Yeah.
with all that being said, I do know women who are I guess insane for lack of better words, and who will do things to like, try to ruin a man if the man tries to cross them. I actually have a person in my family who was a sex worker at one point. So
Okay.
I have a lot of different things that I can say I've seen, have not personally experienced, but I've seen. One
But
second.
yes.
Right. So there we go. Now it's not going to die. But so I can just say that I can empathize with men saying that it's women out here that are uh, keying up their cars. There are women that are slashing their tires because in their mind, it's like if I can't hurt you physically, I can hurt your pockets.
Yeah.
So it's like,
Oh, for sure. No, I
yeah,
think we both have our things for sure.
yeah.
But no, I was okay. So sidebar, I was
Or I can take away your freedom because it's the number of women who threaten to put a man in jail because they are jealous or conniving in some way is crazy. Listen, it's crazy people out here on both sides. I've known a woman who literally, like, I've known a person. She was not my friend. We just happened to go to the same school and I heard
yeah.
about it. But she lied on this dude and said he did this, that, and the other and was trying to get him put into jail. And it wasn't big. If it wasn't for other people who was like, "Nah, she lying," this man would have been in jail because they want to believe that Black men are bad.
You
So,
know, oh, okay. Whew, okay. Yes. Those things do happen. Sidebar, I was when I was telling me, I said, yeah, I think y'all got it hard. I was talking about us getting periods and stuff.
Oh,
Oh, I was talking about
I went too
cramps.
deep. I went too deep. Sorry.
I was like, have a cramp. Have a cramp.
Death to the periods.
I
It
know,
get
I
on my
know
nerves.
that went like really to the I said that's what I meant by that. 'Cause
My bad. My bad. Sorry.
but no, no, you're absolutely right. And I don't and I love the fact that you said, are those people my friends? And being able to discern, hey, this is not who I am as a person. This is not my life. I'm
Right.
out of here
Mhm.
because I don't want to get caught up in nothing vicariously through you because you did something and you name dropped me.
Right.
No, I'm not doing it. And
Nope.
I think that's a something that a lot of people have to start doing. And
Mhm.
there's also it's like, on both sides, like holding people, if you say you really rock with somebody, being able to hold them accountable and
Yeah.
calling them on they BS.
That's important.
And I think that's how we have so many situations, probably like the ones that were even explaining to me. You better believe it's somebody that said, or I would hope, okay, you tripping, sis. It's not that deep. Yes, he hurt you.
Yeah.
Yes, he's moving on, but this is a lot.
Right. And it's not like I don't even understand what it's like to be so brokenhearted that you want to find some way to get restitution or retribution for whatever happened to you, some type of
Right.
revenge or payback. I get it. Because I've had some really messed up situations to happen to me as well. And
Yeah.
I've wanted to kind of take care of those people in that moment. But it's like my wise mind turns on and it's like, okay, so how is this gonna turn out? Like, what are you
Yeah.
going to do after this succeeds? Then what?
Yeah. It's so funny because recently, I swear I didn't do nothing crazy. I didn't do nothing crazy. It's just funny because my best friend was like, oh, listen to the K Michelle's album. And she has this song called Cry.
Okay.
And something recently just probably, I said, yeah, them, and the line is, you gonna pay me in tears. I
Ooh,
said, yeah, because he gonna pay me in tears. And we just fell out laughing. I was like, I'm gonna get my lick back. I'm gonna get it. But it's nothing, I'm not gonna do nothing crazy.
yeah.
Uh, like I like to, like I said, like flirt, mind games, things like that, all me for real. But
Mhm.
that's as far as to go. I don't, because I can't go back to jail, man. You
Back.
know, okay, I went to jail one time. Anyway,
Okay.
uh it really wasn't that bad, and it really wasn't my fault.
I went to jail
But
too.
you would see everybody don't be in the jail.
What?
And then people come like, I ain't never been to jail. I was
Craziest
so
thing
mad. Listen, because it
ever.
really wasn't my fault for real. Like it was
Right?
like I was so mad. And why was my best friend with me too? And my best friend had a warrant. And the man to talk about, oh, it's a Metrolink. Here's a Metrolink ticket. Make him walk. And it was like 2 o'clock in the, when I tell you, I'm sitting in the back of that car with the cuffs, and I'm one at the full. And me and that cop got into it bad.
Oh.
Still fuck Officer Sanders. I hope he ain't.
Oh.
I hope he lost his badge.
Oh.
You don't do something. And I'm like, my friend can literally drive my car because he had that Metrolink ticket. They wouldn't let him take my car. Why
Wow.
you running the person that's the passenger's license anyway? Like, I think that's so shady.
Yeah.
Oh, I was so mad.
Yeah. Mine was a little less heroic. I cried like a damn baby the whole time. I had outstanding parking tickets, and Chicago don't play games about them little parking tickets. So mine was over something petty. Like literally, I got pulled over because they ran my tag, and there was like outstanding parking tickets. And if you get a certain number, I think like 3 tickets that you don't pay, they'll suspend your license. And so I didn't even know it was
For
suspended.
parking
Child parking tickets, not traffic violations, parking tickets. So that means either I've parked in a zone where the time frames, because the signs are also
yeah.
confusing. You get a time frame to park and a certain time of the year, a certain inch of snow. You got to, it's crazy. So needless to say, I got 3 parking tickets. I was kind of broke, so I was trying to wait to be able to pay them back until I got some money or whatever. So I did not know that my license was suspended. Dude pulled me over. I was in Broadview, actually leaving from dropping my daughter off in daycare. And I went and the guy pulled me over. He was like, "Did you know your license was suspended?" I was like, "My license not suspended." And then he was like, "Yeah, they just suspended it however many days ago because of X, Y, and Z." He's like, "So I'm gonna have to ask you to step out of the car and I got to take you in." And immediately boohoo crying because I'm like, "Oh my God, this has never happened to me before." Oh my, because I've never been in any trouble before like that, like ever.
Right,
Like
right.
I am scary as hell. Like I'm not doing nothing. And so I get out of my car. This man starts to cuff me. I'm like, "You gotta cuff me. Like I gotta be cuffed." And so he cuffs me behind my back. I was like, "They gotta go behind my back. They can't go in front of my back." Like he was just, you could tell that he felt bad for me because I was just like, "What is going on?" I was like panicking. I was in a frenzy. I was boohoo crying. He was like, "This grown woman is a he." I now that I look back at it, I would have probably been laughing at me because I was acting a plumb fool. But I was scared. And so
Yeah, if you've never experienced anything like that, for
I was
sure, it's like,
terrified. I get in the back of the car. He takes me to the police station. The police station wasn't that far away. It was like maybe 10 minutes away. And then, so I sit in a holding cell for like 3, 4 hours. And then my then boyfriend comes and gets me. And then I'm out of there. So I was in jail for 3 hours.
yeah, I was in jail. It was longer than 3 hours, for
It
sure.
felt like 5 years, but
Girl, it felt like an eternity. And I was just like, I was okay. So this is why I was mad just because like he didn't read me my Miranda rights. Like he pulled me over out of the jurisdiction, but
Mhm.
ultimately, I was one, I was on my cycle.
Okay.
Two, it was Good Friday. The
Oh
clock,
Lord.
that the once it hit Friday, it was Good Friday, and I was like, you got to be kidding me, because that means it ain't no judge. And my mom is an attorney, so I'm like, I call her in the middle of the night. She, of course, I knew she wasn't gonna pick up, so I had to call my sister. I was like, girl, I'm in jail, and I was like, this is mom's fault. Please wake her up. And so it was like a whole thing. I didn't get out till the afternoon. It was just like a
Wow.
mess, and I like this is what I be meaning. Like it just like it just it was just a mess. And the people, like, when they put, like, I was in holding, then they put me in like a cell,
Oh
like
Lord.
after they booked me. And then it was just the craziest night of my life. And how are y'all not giving people food? Like they gave me like a quarter of juice and like a honey bun. And I'm like, what is this going to do? Like you're trying to start that process of making me go crazy, girl.
Yeah.
But no, I never, yeah. Yeah, so that's what I meant by can't go back to jail. But I
Yeah.
I wanted to,
I can't go back either. Shit.
girl, like I can't believe that they pull people over for tickets. That's crazy.
Chicago is something else, though. I That's one of the reasons why I had to make sure I got out of Chicago. No offense to anybody who is from Chicago. As a person who was a transplant to Chicago, living there,
Mm-hmm.
I lived there for 10 years, and the
You get
time that
those
I spent in
winters.
Chicago was a good time. We had a good time. I was able to make some great connections, have some great friendships, have some good family moments and things like that. But when it was time to go, it was time to go because there were so many little things that make up, I guess, the Chicago judicial tax, all that kind of stuff. And it's just
Mm-hmm.
like, you guys put things in place in order for people to lose. Like, it's impossible to not fall prey to the predatory things that you have in place for people in Chicago if you live in the city. If you're in the suburbs, it's a little bit, more of an opportunity for you to escape that stuff. But if you're living in the city, it's too much. They make it
Wow.
nearly impossible for you to escape certain things. They got
Wow.
red light cameras that flash you even though you haven't even made it to the light yet. It's And they were like, Well, it's a system error, and the only way that you can get that ticket thrown out is if you go to court, and you have to know that you have to go to court because they're not going to tell you.
Yeah.
It's crazy. So
Yeah. No, it is definitely set up for people to fail.
yeah.
And I have beef with Chicago because we our my one of my cousins had gotten killed in Chicago,
Mhm.
and he was in the suburbs, but when it happened, but he was like residing downtown, and it was like he
Mhm.
had moved, so he had like two places. And then the whole case, it was just messy,
Mhm.
and how they handled stuff. And then ultimately the guy that when they finally got one of the guys, because it was like three of them, this guy was adamant that he didn't do it, but mind you, threatened, like threatening like my other cousins, all of this stuff, that
Mhm.
he would get them off. Like it was a whole thing. But I'm like, okay. But recently what happened was is that, like that whole initiative that Kim Kardashian like was doing,
Oh
like, oh,
yeah.
getting innocent people out. Well,
Mhm.
he was able to get out
Okay.
because of the Chicago PD did not enter in all the evidence for
Wow.
that case. And
Wow.
they couldn't get all the witnesses that were there that night
Mhm.
to testify. Only one would testify,
Mhm.
which I understand. I'm not mad
Yeah.
at them, because it was just like such a traumatic experience. And
Yeah.
probably took you a long time to try to heal from it, because we probably finally got to a place where we were okay.
Mhm.
And then this happened. It's just like, oh my god.
Yeah.
So fuck them.
Yeah, I had my moments that made me have a bit of a sore spot for my experience there, but there were so many wonderful things that happened to and for me.
Hmm.
You know, that, yeah. One thing is, I'm very glad not to be in Chicago anymore because the food is addictive,
Oh yeah, you gonna eat good.
and
You
I'm
gonna
just
eat
not
good.
interested in being 500 pounds. I can't. So I got to get away from there.
You can
So
live
that,
downtown, off the lake, and walk everywhere.
yeah, I
Oh
can't.
my gosh, that's so funny.
The food
Well,
was
I mean,
amazing.
oh my gosh. I just can't believe that, you know, I can't believe we went to jail. It's just a story. I'm thinking about this, and it's so funny because I remember I said to my friend to here, I said, well, you know what that's like, because you've been to jail too. He was like, wait a minute.
Wait a goddamn
No,
minute.
I not. And I was like, really? Huh. I I was like, how your life experience, the stories you told me, and you have. I said,
You
huh.
sound a little jealous.
It did, and it does. So no, that's so funny. And like I said, I'm looking back over stuff, and like you said, certain things happen because it also gives you perspective of how things can be.
Yeah, yeah.
So from that moment, I just was like, you know what? I I gotta get up out of here. And that's how, like, well, I already knew I was moving anyway, but I was like,
Mhm.
oh my God, this cannot come any faster, because I'm over it. Like, I am so over this. Like, unfortunately for me, for the most part, um, anytime I would get pulled over back home because I had family here, whatever, like on
Mhm.
certain police forces, I'd be able to talk myself out of a ticket, or they wouldn't give it to me. But this just particular guy, he was just a jerk. And I got pulled over one time. I was visiting St.
Mm.
Louis. I was in a rental
Wow.
and got a ticket. And he said, you did a rolling stop. I said, I'm not I'm like, literally, I saw you. You thought you were hidden behind those bushes. But I stopped and I looked left and right, and then I went. And girl, he pulled out of there. I said, okay. I said, this is not a problem. I said, well, this is a rental.
Mhm.
And I'm headed to Pagedale to see my family, which one of my uncles works for the city. I'm just gonna pass this to him and it's gonna get thrown out.
Mhm.
I'm like, you're really wasting your time. And
Ooh,
that's what I did. And it got thrown out.
wow.
Yeah. So I was like, okay. But like you said, like lessons, it gives you so much perspective because it's people out here that are really out to get you because they are miserable in their lives. Because like
Absolutely.
you're telling me that you went to jail for a part, like, okay, I get the suspended license thing. Can you
Right.
give me a fine or something, and
You
I
could
can,
even tow my car and tell me to find a ride home
yeah,
and give me
like
my little ticket.
that's what I'm saying. I'm like I like you clearly have never been in trouble. That y'all can look in y'all car, right? You can see.
Right.
I can't believe that. Parking tickets, Chicago, shame on y'all for that.
Child,
Shame on y'all for that. That is really sad. Because all I was thinking about when you said that, I said, oh my God, she just drops her baby off at daycare. Girl, I got pulled over last week.
I haven't been
I
pulled
was,
over once since I've been back in LA.
listen,
Let me
I
not
was,
say that too loud. Jesus, don't let
yeah, no, we're
something
not
happen.
speaking it into existence at all, like knocking this wood. So I was just like, girl, this how messed up this was. He wasn't even on a motorcycle bike. He was just like in the street and he gonna flag me down like this. And so I'm like, what is that? Who is that? Like, I'm not. And I like roll like my window down and I realized it was a cop. He said, why are you speeding like that? You're going 40. He said I was going 40 and like a 30 or something. And
You petty.
did I know I was speeding or whatever? And I said, no. I was like, honestly, I said, you hear the music. It's Beyonce. Cause I was like, oh,
Ah!
all in
Beyonce,
it,
I'm speeding.
I was like, I was distracted. I said, and I'm like to work. I overslept today. And he was like, well, what time you supposed to be at work? I said, 7 o'clock and it's 7:30.
30 minutes ago.
And he told me to slow down and he let me go. I was like, listen, this is my birth month. It's Aquarius season. You cannot do this. Like, I please let me go. So yeah, but I'm gonna do better. I'm gonna do better.
Yes.
Discernment, slow down.
Mm-hmm.
That's my lesson for the year. Slow down and pay attention and be alert. Okay,
Right.
that's the sermon right there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Oh my gosh.
definitely.
Anyway, back to our dating lives.
Ooh.
My ADD kicked in. And
I mean, it all relates though.
it did because that's the comment.
Uh-huh.
Um, when we okay, so what are things like for you now? Because you said met the prisoner, the former prisoner that probably back in prison by now or somewhere. Um, trying to navigate dating because we always hear these conversations about how tough it is, and you said you had some experience on Hinge.
Mm-hmm.
So what are things like now for you?
So Hinge was a trip. I actually started like three different, not really relationships, but dating uh, spaces with people
Okay.
off of Hinge, and each one was like weird. Like there was this guy who we would text all the time, and he would never want to meet in person. It was really weird, and so that kind of faded out. I come to find out he was also dating one of my other friends, and I was like,
So he was a real
ah,
person. He was real.
this guy is real.
Okay. Okay. Wow.
And I
Wow.
was like, oh, okay, well, cool. We never met. So I had never had the opportunity to really be invested in you. Cool. There was a guy who, and I'm not trying to skirt around your answer. I'm going to get to the answer.
Okay.
Um, but there was a guy who I did meet. Super funny, great personality, cool as hell, right? But again, he wasn't very truthful about his height on that app. On the app, homeboy said he was 5'8". In real life, he was 5'3". And I'm like, you didn't realize you didn't think we were ever going to meet, and I was going to notice that you're this, that, and the other. He's like, I know you're probably not gonna like me after that. I just wanted us to have, some conversations to be cool. I'm like, I mean, we could be cool, but I don't like being lied to, so I'm not gonna be able to move forward just on the strength. Now I'm gonna be honest, I probably wouldn't have moved on anyway because I can't do nothing with 5'3". And that's not trying to be shallow because I've dated a person who was exactly the same height as me before, but
And how
shorter
tall are
than
you
me.
again?
I'm 5'5".
Okay, yeah.
So I've dated short before. My child is by short. Um, and I just, but that short had a different thing going for him because, it was like, this is what I am. I'm a real person, but I'm still cool and I'm still going to be, down for you. I'm still going to be a man's man. I'm not going to walk around in insecurity all the time. So it worked in that case. But this other one who was just lying from the jump, we can't start off with the lies. That means you're gonna lie every time you're scared.
Yeah,
I can't
yeah.
do that.
That and that's like you said. So were your intentions not to meet? Okay.
I don't know. So then the third one, I actually started like a real thing with him. Dude was like Batman, amazing.
Okay.
He had a wonderful body. He was intelligent. He had his stuff together. He was, on his own financially. He was doing his thing. I was also doing my thing. But me doing my thing was slowly chipping away at his ego because in his mind, he the woman he had a whole lot of different mentalities and a whole lot of different things that he thought was okay to say to women and it's really not. And it was a lot of audacity mixed into that one. And so
Oh,
I went through all of that to circle around to where I am now. So where I am now is in a place where I am dating someone, but it is more of a we're taking it slow type of situation.
okay.
And he's like a really, really good person. I've known him for a bit. And, there's a trust level that
Okay.
is there,
Okay.
and it's a person that, I already know, who you are on a friendship level. And now I'm
Yeah.
getting to know that person on a dating level. And just kind of navigating that space with that person just to see, like, all right, where do we want this to go? So,
Okay.
yeah.
I like that.
Hmm.
I like that because I
Yeah,
love love. I want all my friends to be in love.
I
Like,
do too.
because I'm like, you be see, I follow like those black love couple pages. And when I say black love, I mean like, it'll be a couple, like it'll be somebody
Yeah.
kissing somebody or just somebody hold somebody. I was like,
Hmm.
oh,
Yeah.
that's so sweet. Because
Right.
I still hear so many crazy stories, and it makes no sense. I'm like, what is going on in the world?
Yeah.
But
I
then it
mean,
goes back to people not being able or not knowing themselves
yeah.
and the games and the shenanigans and thinking it's a part of it. And I'm like, but why would you? I said, you're intentionally hurting people.
Right.
Why? Like,
So
there's no fun in that.
yeah, on our end, there is a level of desperation, and
Mm,
it's sad, but a lot of women are desperate now. We have reached a point, especially Black women, sadly. And I'm not even going to say just Black women, but I'm going to speak again from my perspective because that's what I know.
that's what you know.
But the Black women that I know, a lot of them are becoming desperate because seemingly we're not the prize anymore, or we are not the go to anymore. If we're not mixed, or if we're not fair skinned, or if we're not lighter, or if we don't seem exotic, we are not necessarily what people are going to go after. And they see Black men treating either mixed race or lighter skin or white or Hispanic women like princesses, like doing nearly everything for them, but we have to get it out of the mud. They got to treat us like crap, and we
Yeah.
got to be cool with being treated like crap, but instead of wanting to be able to treat it the same way that they treat these other women. And of course, the rebuttal is always, well, because y'all are spicy, y'all got nasty attitudes, y'all are not submissive, this, that, and the other. And the thing is that it's a cop out because once you actually find the person who is for you, none of
You
these other stereotypes will matter because every woman isn't the same. And we got to get out of this hive mentality to where social media is my teacher. Social
Yeah.
media is my classroom. Social media is where I learn
Yeah.
to treat people, or where I learn how to be as a person.
And also, I want to, the word submit like drives me insane because what am I submitting to? Where are you leading me? A lot of men don't know how to lead either. And this is no this. I we have
Right,
things on both ends. Like
right,
you said, Dave, what's been happening, what you see.
right.
But I also see a lot of men not knowing how to lead.
Hmm.
Not in my direct inner circle, because
Right.
you know, but just that there's something that has to exist
Hmm.
in order for women to do that. You
Right.
don't get in a relationship and automatically that happens. That
No.
naturally happens
Right.
when a woman feels safe and
Right.
secure.
Right.
She can rest
Hmm.
in knowing that you are leading, and leading can, whatever your relationship standards or goals are, is that it's more than being a provider. It
Right.
is being able to be affectionate. It is being able, I mean, like I said, depending on what it is that you desire and what you need.
Hmm.
But saying that women, a general statement that women don't like to submit, and I'm just like,
You don't know all women.
you don't know us all.
Right.
And
Yeah.
what are you doing that makes this person feel
Hmm.
like they can't let their guard down with you?
Right.
You
So,
don't, you're not checking all the boxes. So I don't think that's fair
right.
to say.
Right. Yeah. And to be honest with you, I think that I also view submission very differently from the way a lot of other people view submission. I don't view submission as a bad thing. I don't view submission in a way of subservience. I don't
Oh,
think that I
and
have
that's
to
what I
be
mean. I but see,
subservient to
that's
you
the
to
difference,
submit to you.
Sunshine.
Right.
Some people think of that word
Hmm.
as being subservient.
Right.
You
A lot of
know,
people do.
a
Yeah.
lot of people do. And I'm like, okay, this is not 1852. I am
No.
not a mule.
No.
I'm not property.
No.
And so you're saying that there's certain things that are supposed to happen, or I should be doing this or that. And I'm just like,
Hmm.
what? But also,
Right.
this goes back to in that dating stage.
Right.
In the early stages, we have to stop being silly, and this is on both sides.
Hmm.
You have to ask tough questions in the beginning.
Absolutely.
And a lot of people don't take the time to really sit and think about what it is that they need
Hmm.
from a partner. Not
Right.
necessarily what they want. We all want a lot of things. We all want to be
Right.
6'5", fit,
I've had
has
6'5". That's not as fun as you think it is.
I'm a big girl. I'm a tall girl. You know that. I'm like, listen. But ultimately, what is it that you need out of a partner? And when you talk to some people and you ask them that, I'm like, okay, I said, what are your top 5 things that you need in a partner? And a lot of people, they're superficial things, and not saying that that's bad.
Right.
But I'm like, okay, how is this person feeding your soul outside of that? That's what
Hmm.
I'm talking about. So
Yeah.
think about it from that perspective.
Hmm.
Yes, we know we want the guy's like to be attractive, whatever, because whatever turns you on, great, that's cool.
Right.
To me, that's a no-brainer for a lot of people. So I don't
Right.
even count that.
Hmm.
But when it comes to how is this person feeding your soul and vice versa, that
Honestly, yeah.
people get stuck on that.
Yeah. Absolutely. Men and women. Like, I
Men
need
and
to feel
women. Yeah,
safe.
for sure.
I need to feel safe. I need to feel like I am with a person that I don't have to be concerned about whether or not we're gonna be all right. Like, in
Hmm.
this atmosphere. Like,
Yes.
I want to be able to walk into a room knowing that I'm gonna be good regardless of what happened because this person's got me. I
Yep.
need to be fully secure and feel fully safe. I'm not one of these crazy women that's going to be out here talking crazy to people who, because this person over here, I know he can fight the world. No, because I'm not going to put him in that position.
Mhm.
But I do know that if stuff happens and there needs to be an escape route, I already know that he's already planned it out.
Mm-hmm.
He already
Yep.
knows how to make it happen. You know what I'm saying? So there's a security and a safety that's in him. And as, the co-pilot to whatever this, relationship is going to be, I too have also been thinking about it. And, not just putting it in emergent situations, but like even in life, you
Yeah.
know, if there are things that he has as a goal, and I know that, this might not necessarily be something that I'm doing, but I'm also going to be thinking of ways to be like, oh, I found this. This might be helpful for you on achieving whatever goal that is. And he does the
Yep.
same thing for me.
Yep.
I see submission as a way to be able to build up the person that you are on the
Yep.
same team as.
Yep.
And I
Yeah.
don't mind being able to be like, you know what, this is not what I do, but I'm gonna be your receptionist today because this is what you need to build up this dental practice.
Yep.
Or and then on the other shoe, he'd be like, okay, well, I see that you need, I don't know, somebody to pass out flyers today for whatever it is that you're doing. So I help you pass out flyers today because I know that's what you need. That's how I
Yeah.
see submission. I see
That's right.
submission
Yeah.
as two people coming together and being like, okay, how do we map this plan? How do we map out our master plan to make this shit happen?
Yep. I love that. That's exactly how I feel. I'm like, it's a two-way street,
Right,
and it comes back to us having an understanding and what works for us,
right,
not things that the world has told us that it has to be, because
right,
that's not real. That's
right.
not real.
Hmm.
Because when we close the, door at night, when we turn off our phones, it's you and me.
It's
So
us.
we have to do what feels good here.
Right, right,
I don't care how it looks to the world, because it's
mhm,
not for them, it's for
right,
us.
right,
And that's where people get lost sometimes. Not
right,
everybody, like, it's a lot of us that do have it figured out, but it's a lot of us out there that's still trying to figure it out and get it right.
right.
But also that goes back to being able to listen, to understand and receive that, like you said, and also letting our egos down and
Mhm,
putting them away to really understand what's important. That's
mhm.
tough. A
Yeah,
lot of people don't want to do that. And
no,
they always gonna be searching.
right. And then a lot of people think that is compromising for you to have to realize that sometimes some of the things that you want are unrealistic.
Mm-hmm.
It's not real. What you want is what these people have made you believe their life is like on social media or on
Yeah.
whatever it is that you're looking at. Like if you're looking at, I don't know, from the church perspective, if you're looking at what your pastor and his wife are doing, that stuff is made up sometimes. We're not gonna go there. Okay, sorry, my bad.
You saw my
But
eyes. Oh God.
whoever
No,
it is that you're talking to,
I'm like, because have you ever been swallowed up?
I still can't believe that. That is weird to me.
But that goes back to what we say. Like
Mhm.
I'm sorry.
Everybody got to live their own life,
Yep.
and everybody got to figure out what works for them. And I just, I just shake my head sometimes at people who try to paint themselves in a certain picture and a certain view and a certain level of perfection, and then stuff comes back on them. It's like, oh, well, maybe I'm not perfect. Well, maybe instead of trying to be perfect, just try to be honest and try
Yeah.
to be real.
Mm-hmm.
I
No, for sure, for
I can't
sure.
do nothing with your representative.
Yeah.
I can't do nothing with that.
Yeah. I just, yeah, like, I think that's the part that's scary. And I tell people all the time, me, this is me.
Hmm.
There's no, on this day, today, I'm this it is always me. And I think
Right.
that's the one thing I really really love about me, is being able to always show up as my true authentic self, because I don't I listen, I'm not with, I don't like surprises like that. So I don't want to surprise you like
Mhm.
that. Now you might get the every once in a while, okay, you see, now you pushing it, but for the most part, like, I'm all, this is me. This is always me, because that doesn't serve you or me
Yep.
to be somebody else.
Nope.
and if you have to do that, guys and gals, you really need to sit with yourself a little longer and not be in these dating streets and do a lot of self-love and work and get that corrected, because it's not fun. It's never going to end well for you. It's
Mhm.
never going to end well for you. And I hate to
Yeah.
say that like that, but it's true.
Yeah. And
Because
that's
you're
how
always
people,
you're always going to be disappointed, and the person
yeah,
on the receiving end is always going to be disappointed.
yeah. And that's how people fall into like these different disorders that are starting to become more prevalent now. That's how they fall into the anxiety, the depression, the imposter syndrome, and things like that, because they've been being so fake for so long. They're afraid to be
Yeah,
who they actually are. They're afraid that
yeah,
if they actually reveal who they are, they will not be accepted. And
yeah,
it's like if you start a path this one way and you've been this one way for so long, it's like, well, people are going to cancel me if I now come out as something different. Well, people are going to say that, I've been fake all along. And honestly, rightfully so, you have been fake. But if you
yeah,
have the ability to connect with whatever your community is and say, you know what, I've been hiding behind this because I've been afraid, but this is who I am and this is who I'm
yeah,
going to be moving forward, then that puts a better tone for me than you carrying on this facade and eventually committing suicide because you just felt trapped in whatever box you created for yourself.
yeah. No, that's real. Ooh, child, that is real.
Because it's like
So
it's time out for the boxes. The
yeah,
boxes are killing us.
I literally just said that yesterday when I was talking to my one of my really good friends about, we were talking about like sexuality and all this stuff because we're working on a project
Mhm.
together. And I was like, it's those boxes, man. I was like, we love labels. We
Right.
love having to put people in certain spaces. And when you don't fit in,
Hmm.
it drives people insane.
Hmm.
And it's like, it just doesn't exist. And so once you realize that, you move more freely through life. And I hope that anybody listening today, I hope if y'all didn't take anything away from our different stories, that you understood this portion for sure,
Right.
because
It's
it's
okay to
so
be
important.
you.
Yeah,
And
be you, love you.
and to be clear, being and loving you isn't necessarily for people who are struggling with whatever they're doing sexually, because
Yeah.
it also speaks to people who are afraid to be who they are, like as far as their career path. Like, it's the big and huge thing to be an entrepreneur now. But if
Hmm.
entrepreneurship isn't for you, be honest, that's not for me. Just say
Yeah.
it's not for me. Like, you don't have to try to keep up with the Joneses. Or if people are like breaking the bank trying to wear all these labels because you feel like if you wear all these labels, it puts you at a status and people will view you in a certain form. People are killing themselves on that in that regard. People
Yeah.
are killing themselves trying to be accepted by a group of people because they feel inferior within their own selves. Case in point is people trying to be around, different races of people getting killed because they're trying to be somewhere where they're not supposed to be. You're trying
Hmm.
to become something else because you don't appreciate the fact that you are you and it's cool to be who you are.
Yep. It's
And
so cool.
so it's not just for that stuff because typically when we talk about it, it's when people who are afraid to tell their family that they might prefer something else
Yeah.
sexually. But that's not all it is. It's a whole lot of labels that people are putting on themselves.
Yeah.
It
No.
was like the vegan foodie person lady who ended up, I think, either being dehydrated or dying or something like that because she was trying to stay so thin. I think she was a fitness influencer or something like that. But she ended up starving herself because she had to maintain her thinness, and the working out wasn't keeping her as thin as she was telling everybody else that they can be. So it's like, come on, let's just be real.
Yeah, I literally give I think what's missing too is that level of uh realness and rawness that I think back to my childhood and the conversations that I had with my mom.
Mm-hmm.
Certain stuff that would go on to be life lessons that really helped build me up and encourage me, as far as self-esteem and all of that goes. Like, and I remember talking to one of my friends about it, and she was like, "Your mom was talking to you about that at what age and what happened?"
Right.
And I thought it was the norm,
Mm-hmm.
and I thought it was happening with all my friends, and they were like, "No,
Mm-hmm.
like you had a leg up." And we have to talk to our kids,
Yeah.
and I know in some places that, it's, you might live in a town where it's only the one school and your kids are getting bullied or something,
Mm-hmm.
but you have to figure out another avenue or outlet to protect your kids
Yeah,
and look
definitely.
out for your kids because it's a cold world out there. And like I told you earlier, if you move to a place like this, it will eat you alive.
Yeah.
And you're not gonna know what to do. New York is the same way. They might be worse.
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
might be worse.
Yeah.
And it's a lot. And it's just, it's really sad. Like I want the people listening to really understand that. And and sometimes it shows up in different ways, like being able to find yourself and what that looks like. But
Right.
you have to talk to yourself about that.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking to ourselves positively. We don't talk about that enough, like, loving on yourself. Like we talk about soft girl era and luxury, like luxury lives and all of that
Mm-hmm.
stuff. And, but that also requires a level of intimacy with yourself and being real with yourself.
Right. Because a soft girl life isn't necessarily you just everybody just catering to you and you just receiving,
Right.
receiving, receiving. A soft girl era is moving in what makes sense for you.
Yeah.
That to me is moving in a path where you operate in the things that are for you. You're not trying to
Mhm.
live nobody else's life. You're not trying to be in
Mhm.
nobody else's lane. You're trying to be stellar and impeccable with being exactly who you are. Um,
Yes.
if that means that who you are needs to get up at 5 o'clock in the morning 4 times a week so you can work out, then do that. If your
Yep.
soft life is drinking more water to make sure that your skin looks supple and amazing, then do that. If your soft life includes making sure that the positions that you take have healthy work environments, then do that. If your soft
Mhm.
life includes making sure that you're connecting with positive and affirming friends, then do that. It doesn't necessarily mean sit back and let life happen for you. It means when you take actions in a smart way. Take action on a path that is for you.
With that said, that is a word. I'm
Yeah.
gonna close out the show. I appreciate you so much because I was only trying to keep it for an hour, and we was just vibing. So
Yeah. Yeah. Sorry. You know I could talk, girl. Sorry.
yeah, listen, baby, and I do too. I want you to for sure come back. I loved every moment of this. I feel so fulfilled and full.
Good. Good.
And I truly appreciate you taking time out of your evening to chat it up with me. The sun has set now
Yes.
on us.
Yeah.
And tell the people where they can find you. You have an amazing podcast as well.
Mhm.
And you also sell merch.
I
So
do.
yes.
Yes.
Yes. So
So
please tell everybody where they can find it. And I'm also going to pin all the information in the description of the show.
awesome. Yes. So, first of all, thank you for having me on. Again, I am Sunshine Wiley. As you see there, Sunshine with an O. I can be reached at www.sunshinestate.com. Again, that's www.sunshinestate.com. My podcast is called The Sunshine State. And it is a podcast that goes over, explores, and journeys through everything emotional health, healing, and wellness from the perspective of a learned introvert. I, started out this life, super puppies and rainbows about everything. And then life hit me, and then I crawled into my shell. And so my show talks to people about wellness, about all things, making sure that once you move out of the places or move into this world, how do we move in this world in a way that actually keeps us fulfilled? How do we move in
Yes.
this world in a way that keeps us feeling hopeful and at peace and continuing to grow? So that's what my podcast is about. I'm available on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, all of them, The Sunshine State. Yeah. Oh, my merch. It is www.wellbrandapparel.myshopify.com. I don't have a domain yet for that, but that's where you can find it. It's amazing hoodies, t-shirts, some athletic wear, all that good stuff is on there. So some pretty dope
Yes.
stuff.
Thank you so much for stopping by, guys. And don't forget, I also have candles. So
Yes.
saint-angelus.com/candles. That'll also be pinned in the show notes. And I will see y'all here next week.
Yay.